Welcome back to Cade Sport, the virtual cycling platform that invites you, dear viewer, to stop pedaling and start cycling. So you're here with me, Mark, a guy known for his sense of humor, if only he had a sense of where he had it last. But I'm not alone. I'm joined by Beth. How are you today, Beth?
Hey, Mark, it's great to be here. We'll help each other with our sense of humors. We've got to keep them around, right?
Absolutely. And so where are we riding today?
Well, today we've got three great races. Yes. Thought you were asking me, but I will answer. I'll jump right in. I'll take race 1, Lake Bend, 3 laps. This one is a total distance of 12.7 kilometers, a multiplier of 2, and the physics on this one is going to be set to an easy difficulty. So it's a nice little warm-up to get everyone started on the day. Mark, what comes after race number 1?
So we've got a brand new map today, which is going to be 3-kilometer total distance. So it's 1 kilometer per laps for a 3-lap total. And that's a 1 times multiplier only, being our big technical course. And it looks like quite an interesting course. It looks like it simulates kind of a gravel. And by the way, I'm loving the elevation profile that we're seeing for each of these courses that's been provided by Velo Viewer. Looks pretty awesome. And our final map, it kind of looks like one of our sci-fi maps.
Yes, fantastic Alien Sea. I have raced on this a number of times, and it does look like there were 3 laps, and usually by the 3rd laps, your legs are pretty punched out, and you've got to watch those descents. There's a few places you can take over on some of the flats across the top there. This one has a 3-time multiplier, and one thing, both the 2nd and 3rd races do have some power-ups that we'll talk about when we get to it, but I also understand there's going to be some fun and surprises once we get to those races. So I'm looking forward to that. So race 1, this activity does not use power up. Race 2, mystery. And race 3, mystery. So attack the middle, fantastic Alien Sea. And if I remember attack the middle too, there you definitely have to be watching your lane position. But let's get right to Lake Bend here for our race 1. We're about 15 seconds to the gate drop. You can see that our racers are warming up here. You can see we've got our rider list on the right side here. It's 5 seconds to go. We're going to get out of the gate in 3, 2, and they are off they go. So with his first few meters of the race here, you can see that they are semi-transparent, which means they can kind of pedal through each other for the first few seconds of the race to get their position, and then they need to find a wheel and hold on if they're not at the front. So Mark, why don't you tell us about some of the riders we've got today?
So we've got some of our big powerhouses, and since you were last here commentating, we've seen Erhan really move up the score table, if you will, in terms of his positioning, a lot of podium placement recently, but also in terms of his place in pelotons, like what we're seeing here, and his ability to hold that rear wheel. We also have, and then we've got Erhan there live from Turkey. We also have Timothy, big powerhouse, really come into his own again since last time you were here, in terms of not just his sprinting that he's known for, but his endurance as well. Homer and Homer's friend has now joined as well, John Sears. And we have the big powerhouse Seb from Deutschland. Hopefully we'll see some big attacks from him as well.
That sounds great. So we've got 11.8 kilometers here on the road. There we see Seb on the right-hand side, loving that background. I need to put my glasses on. It looks all like super tech, trying to determine what his background is, if it's a green screen. Maybe he's in like a closet with all of the tech, like some sort of an engineering closet. I don't know. He'll have to fill us in on that. But you can see his focus, his concentration there. All of these riders are riding their bikes on trainers or rollers. I know looks like we have Peter Kastrup in there too. He's often is on rollers. We've got Frank Garcia, Eugene, and Vanessa, Renee, some of the familiar names that you're familiar with here. But on this first race here, it's a nice warm-up, easy physics difficulty, 2 times multiplier, and no power-up. So we'll probably see some tactics here. I wonder if we're going to see some moves by the teams. As you said, Erhan has been coming into his own a little bit. It seems like he's being pretty smart and taking the the wheel on the back there, let other people do the work. But Timothy kind of pulls over here to the inside corner, shortens the ride a little bit. The other riders come over, but he just maybe moved up his lane position a little bit, but still staying tucked into the draft, but just cutting the corner. There he is right there on camera, Timothy Tremont. And as you said, one of our powerhouse racers, tactician, strategic, but also been building that endurance over the course of this winter racing season.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's also been learning when to temper his attacks and his endurance as well. As we can see here, using the draft to great benefit on this quite gentle climb. Gentle, but deceptive, as I always talk about on the all-road, all-power courses, because this is really where riders want to be in their high-tension gears and in the big chainring. So a small climb can actually be quite detrimental to those quads, to those glutes.
Yeah, you can see there the power on the right-hand side, the far right corner there, that column there, that is the power. And you can see 620 watts. These folks are over their threshold. So what you don't see on their avatars, but you do see when they're on camera, is the amount of work they're really putting in here. Those are some big efforts. With 420, correct me if that's wrong or if it's changed, but 420 is each of these riders' functional threshold power. So anything over 420, they are going over their FTP, and they just gave that little punch, maybe just to get to the top, and just testing out the legs, making sure that they kind of like maybe tire out some of the folks behind them here. You can see we've got Martin on camera there, working here nice and steady there. Looks like he's got a good little tempo. He looks pretty relaxed, doesn't have a lot of tension in those shoulders or neck, and that's like a nice relaxed position to see him in, even though he's driving some pretty good power there. But he's staying in the pack there, about 300 and 400 watts. But on the front is Peter Kastrup right now, coming over with Timothy Tremont. Homer, his teammate there. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Homer and Peter do something here, maybe not on this first lap, but maybe on the third lap. So these other riders that are without teammates maybe want to make some alliances, because that's a dangerous combination there of Peter and Homer. Both have incredible engines, both know the game dynamics, both know the courses. So trying to get as much points here in this first race.
Yeah, and they're both great at doing what I routinely called the slingshot, but I guess it's more of an elastic band, where you have one in front who's taking all of that endurance on the front and giving the other one the draft, and then switch round when the other one is tiring. So I wouldn't be surprised if they put in a really good surge right the way to the finish line.
Yeah, and I think that you can see here that there's a Homer there in third right there. It looks like Martin's trying to come around here on the outside here on the corner here, and maybe take that front position away from Peter, or maybe just kind of push Peter a little bit. And Peter's like, okay, well, Martin, go ahead. I've got Homer and I've got a teammate, so if you want to push on the front, have at it. What we might see too is an attack here. I'm thinking second or third lap, we might see an attack on the flat leading up to the little gentle climb there, just to open it up a little bit if we're testing some legs here. We've seen some tactics before where someone's trying to take it out early, and it gets chased down by the peloton, or someone will just let them go and see if they can bring it back in, because as a group together, the speed kind of gets up, just like you're outside on the road. The physics are very similar, that you can actually get a lot of speed when you're moving as a group. So it looks like that group behind there just needs to tighten up on that wheel to get maximum draft. There they go, locking it in here. Homer on the front, Martin behind. You said his name is John there. That is also Homer's friend here, different color jersey. Timothy Erhan. I like what Erhan's doing. I feel like he's not putting his nose in the wind. He's staying in the peloton, and I think he's probably learning some tactics of the game since the last time I was here.
Yeah, absolutely, and really coming up in those technical courses as well as the all-road courses. And talking about somebody who goes off the front and the peloton catches them, and they've stung their legs, and they've also learnt the lesson. That was very much me on Saturday. This big climb that's coming up. It looks gentle. Like it's between a 1 and 7%. So fairly gentle, but it's long. It's long and it's incremental the entire way up. And I'm a good, powerful climber. But by the time the end of the climb came and everyone's got that downhill gravitational benefit, I had lost it. Like it's gone at that point. So yeah, this is the point.
Yes,
oh, sorry. I was just going to say this is the point where riders want to temper that.
Yes, yeah, and I've seen you, Mark, recover from, maybe not on this course, but on a crash. I've seen you turn yourself inside out. You do have a lot of power. You race with a lot of heart. Look, a lot of these racers do. We do this for fun. We do this for fitness. We do this because we're competitors. But it is really something that once you're in the race and you're in contention, you're with that lead group, it's awfully hard to back down here. I also see. Frank back there. We know that Frank's a big sprinter here. He's in this group here. He's got Renee. He's got a teammate. I think Vanessa's a little bit further back. Shaq's a little further back. But it does look like Peter's got a couple of seconds back here on this group. I'm not sure if that... looks like he's putting a little power there to kind of close that up. Maybe he... he usually is on rollers. He might have had a little mechanical or something that needed him to kind of give that little boost on, or maybe he was just caught a little bit flat-footed on that climb. But Peter says, "Say my name, I will come to the front." Nice. A little bit of love from Julie there. Here's Vanessa on board with Vanessa's got Shaq a little bit ahead of her. Maybe she and Shaq can kind of get together here. Shakalaka, I like to say that. Sharon Shakalaka. Kind of putting it together here. And then this group, I don't know, it looks like it keeps like stretching out, unless that's a tactic with Renee and Frank trying to like let that group open up and try to like shake a couple off and then close the gap. Sometimes you can control that pace, but you can see a little bit of a gap opening up here. Renee looks like he might be trying to shut it down. Frank's gonna come up on his wheel. There he goes. Yep, Frank's like, okay, we're going to leave these two behind. So probably just getting enough distance so that the rider behind them has to work a little bit harder, so that, kind of trying to shake off some of your competitors there. Erhan here on the back, maybe he's having some power issues. It does look like his power dropped down. He's up out of the saddle, so maybe he had a power drop. For anyone who's raced before, sometimes the ANT or the Bluetooth signal can kind of disconnect from the game temporarily. Really no fault of anybody other than the technology. So, but they do look a little spread out here.
If you can use this slight downhill to catch John, Erhan should be okay with getting that draft benefit back and rejoining that peloton, hopefully.
Yep, we've got a nice group here. We've still got Homer and Peter in the front here. Does look like John's putting that power down to close that down. 700, over 700 watts to kind of get it. Remember, all of those riders in front of him are benefited from the draft, so their speed. You can see their speed, 57 on the front there. So John has to be going faster than that front person in order to close it up. So what I do is I look at the list and I go, okay, now I'm going 60. 53 there, he just made it up a little bit on that bump there. So you do have to look at the relative speeds. In some, platforms, you're looking at watts. We're looking at everything here, all of the stats there. What are the watts? How are people feeling? You can see on the front there, Peter Castro, 198 equalized heart rate. Anything over like 180 is really, really hurting. Homer, 190. Frank's looking pretty good here at 173. He's done a good job of conserving it. He didn't shake off John, but he did shake off Erhan. Erhan's about 15 seconds back. Erhan's going to have to do something if he wants to catch that, or he might decide, I'm going to just let them go and I'm going to save my legs for the next two races, because there are 3 races in our playlist today. On board with Sebastian here at the back here, saying like, okay, all right, I'm just gonna wait. I always call him the shark. I don't know why. I just feel like he's just always present, always moving, very strategic. Sebastian is also a tactician. I can't say that word. Tactician. There it is. Took me a while. But we've got Timothy up there. Looks like Homer still holding down the front there. bringing the rest of the group with him and letting Renee take the draft here. So Renee and Frank do have an opportunity here to work together on the last lap as we come back around.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, because we've got our main contenders who keep jockeying for that front position on the peloton. And Zeb just seems to be holding nice and steady in the center, and I know he's waiting for that right moment. The trouble is everybody's getting really good at sprinting now and doing the big final surges, the big final attacks. So we're going to have to see who's really going to play that the best.
Well, and it's true too, though, with these sprints, you really need to know your sprinting legs. Is it 200 meters, 400 meters? Can you take that sprint a little bit longer just to kind of make the riders behind you respond, but you're not really emptying the tank, so give them a little punch and then save a little. So being able to have a longer sprint or have an ability to recover fast from sort of a surge, it can really be your advantage. But what you don't want to do is you want to use that draft as long as you can, and you don't want to be last to go, because you always have just a slight lag. So don't wait till you see other people sprint. Pick your spot, know what your legs can do, and then commit. That's kind of the way, that's the name of the game for me. When there's no crashing aside, right? And there's no other things at play, which is, here we are with 2.2 kilometers to go. It could be anybody here. Who are you putting your money on?
At risk of having an egg on my face, I'm actually going to go for Zeb. I think today is going to be the big surge that we're going to see on that big attack.
Right.
But I'm prepared to be proven very wrong.
Well, I think Seb likes the vote of confidence. He knows he's got some legs there. Homer, the big engine, I have seen him sprint. Peter can come around too. He's there on the back benefiting from it. But I am not counting out Mr. Garcia. I'm not counting out Timothy. And I haven't seen Martin sprint lately, but I am curious. I'm kind of curious. I want to see what these folks can show us today. So show us your sprint. We'll shout your name. We'll give you big props. Who's got the legs? Who's going to be saving for the next two races? Just empty the tank, y'all. Empty the tank. I want to see it. I want to see what you can bring. 1.5 kilometers to go on this third lap of Lake Bend. Anybody's game here. Timothy, Tremont, Martin, Peter, Sebastian, John, Frank, Renee, Erhan a little bit further back down. Who is it going to be? Dun, dun, dun. Beautiful day out on course here. Lake Bend. That water looks pretty refreshing.
Yeah, I love these graphics, and I love the cameras that are supplied by our vision mixer, our very trusty, good friend, Damon. Fantastic stuff.
Thank you. Yes, it's looking really good. This stream's looking just when you think it can't look any better. There he is behind the scenes. It's looking good, Damon. Thanks for all of your hard work back there. All right, 0.8 kilometers to go through the dark tunnel here. You can see Frank's a little bit off the back here. That might be a strategy where he wants to be, but he's getting boxed in a little bit there by Renee. Oh, there we go. Seb moves out. He pulls out of the lane there. He is neck and neck with John there. We've got Sebastian really over 500 watts there. Right now at the front, Peter Casper wasn't really driving a lot of power. 400 watts at the front there, 350 watts with Martin and Peter on the front, the two of them holding the wind for everyone behind them. I see Timothy coming out around on the right-hand side there, coming around, dropping 1,000, 1,200. Oh my gosh, look at that sprint. And I was worried about that, Timothy, that corner. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
One of those, it does look like Martin came across
Fantastic
the
effort
line.
from Martin there.
Wow.
Absolutely fantastic surge from Martin.
Amazing. And now I don't know if Timothy just didn't put the brakes on enough. He did give it a big surge. He was able to come around. He looked like he was poised for the win and then just kind of slid it out. So that happens sometimes, but he still will get some points here. So let's take a look at the board. Take us through it, Mark.
So it looks like we have John just half a second behind Martin, which was fantastic. And then Peter as
And
well,
we've got
just on the toes, if you will, of John. And yeah, I mean, what a bunch, what a bunchy, as we'd call it in the UK. But what a group we saw there, where it was just together right up until that finish line. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, they're like 1,000th of a second from each other.
yes.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, a very, 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 very tight close to that race here, so this will be our leaderboard. You can see the scoreboard calculating the multipliers for each of these races. Right now, there's 8 points that separate Martin and John, and then Peter a little bit further down than that. But any of these, I would say, top 4 riders are going to be ones that we watch in the next 2 races. We've got Fantastic Alien Sea and Attack the Middle. And with both of those courses, we have easy physics difficulty, but that doesn't mean the map is easy, right? So with Attack the Middle, it's just a 3-kilometer distance, but that has a 1 multiplier. So this is going to be a really short, fast race. So this one is going to be, the name of the game is to be get out in front, because of all of the obstacles on this course, Mark. You need to know the line, and you need to know when you need to move over, and you need to get yourself in the right position, because it's very difficult to overtake someone on this course with all of the different barriers that kind of get in your way. So and if I remember correctly, there's like 1 lane down the middle in a couple spots, which is I think why it's called Attack the Middle. I'm just going to say that's exactly the reason why it's called Attack the Middle. And so getting out early, those first few seconds where those racers are semi-transparent, where you can kind of get your position, that's where it's all about in 3 short kilometers. And it's going to be pretty fast and furious here. You can see them out here warming up on course. Now you can see look at that. It's a disaster here. They've got like hay bales, and it's crazy. So here we go. We're going to go in 5 seconds, and we're going to come out of the gate, and we're going to see this blast of power here. Off they go here. All of them trying to get in the position here. Off the front there is Sebastian saying, I'm going to pick my line. I'm not going to have to go around anybody. Perfectly executed, uses his power to get in the front. You can see some crashes happening behind him. He's easing up here with these old broken down pickup trucks and hay haulers and construction vehicles. Taking that corner nice and conservative, now here, boop, 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 boop. I think those things that they want to grab, yes, those are little power-up gobbles. Gobble up the power-ups, I think. So I heard a rumor that these little floating coins, if you think of Mario Kart or Mario Brothers, where you scoop the coins up, the riders actually want to grab those because it will give them some juice. We've got, to my knowledge, we've got 2 quantum shifts and 2 corner capers. Whoa, he goes down, but Sebastian's still in the front going through those. Oh, grab it! He almost grabbed it. He's like, I'm going to focus not on crashing. He's like, I don't want the candy. I don't need the candy. I'm in the front. We'll let the other people chase the candy. I'm calling it candy. I don't know.
Also, perfect form on Zeb's climbing there, showing us how it's done, getting out the saddles, on the hoods, and just really pushing through those pedal strikes.
Yeah, yep, very much. You can always tell folks that are riding outside in their gear selection. Sometimes you want to ease up on those gears and spin up, but on a short race like this, it's okay to just sort of stay in that heavier gear. And I actually find on these courses that, there you go, see Timothy's holding Renee back. Renee's probably like, oh, we're gonna get around you. I'll suck your wheel, but I want to get around you. But they have to stay single file here through the trucks here. 1.6 kilometers to go on the second lap. Seb is doing, you can see him glide through that corner. Nice job. Timothy not far behind him. Not too bothered with with grabbing them, but let's Renee, grab one. Oh, yeah, there he goes. All right. Yummy, 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 Renee. That's a good cookie. as we keep going, there he goes. And Shaq says, watch me, I'll take one too. So as they go here, go ahead.
My apologies. I was just going to let the audience know what those are. Those are refills to the quantum shift. It doesn't give more quantum shift usage, like it doesn't give more than the 2 that they have on course, but it will extend the time usage once it is deployed. I'm not sure if that's the case of you have to be using it when you pass through them, but it will extend the usage time.
I gotcha. Okay. All right. So it doesn't give you more power-ups. It just extends the duration of the power-up. But that makes sense because so they are cookies. They're like energy cells, like they're little energy cells, right? That's what I'll call them. Well, there's probably a better name than cookies or energy cells. But this is fun. Okay. Quantum shift. There he goes. Timothy plays that smart. So that is what you use a quantum shift for, ladies and gentlemen, is when you are boxed in and you do want to get around some traffic, you drop that quantum shift. I was surprised Renee didn't do that earlier when he was behind Timothy, but maybe he had already expended it earlier there. So now Timothy out in front. He did overtake Seb. I didn't see it while we were riding. We must have been off camera of how he did that. But if anyone can overtake a rider on this course, it of course would be Timothy or Sebastian. Renee there in 3rd place, Martin in 4th. Oh, we do see a little bit of crashing there. When you see those red lines, that's when a rider is going down. On board with Sebastian, 6 seconds back from Timothy here. Timothy's 13 seconds up the road here, 0.3 kilometers. So I think we're going to see our 1, 2, 3, unless anything major happens. This is what we're looking at. We're looking at Timothy taking the first spot here, Sebastian taking second. Renee did just go down, but it does look like he has enough time ahead of Martin to be able to that if he gets up to speed in time. That's the thing, the penalty of slowing down. Here we go, Timothy coming across the line. That's a rider in front of him that he's lapping, so not to be bothered with that. And hooray, Timothy comes across the line. Hive, yes, showing me the jersey. I love it. I love it. That jersey looks great. Sebastian here coming in 2nd place. Something to be about on this course there. Attack the middle here, the gravel course on their mountain bikes here. We had one road course. Now we've got the mountain bike, and we're going to be going to, there's Martin, and Shaq's coming across the line. We'll be going to Fantastic Alien Sea next, which is one of the sci-fi courses. But, okay, so that was fun. I didn't see a lot of people take advantage of the cookies, but some of them did grab them, which is a great little treat on course here. Timothy Tremont taking that top step. Seb coming in 2nd, Renee holding it down on 3rd, Martin, Shaq, Lisa, and John. And you can see there was a little bit of a gap between all of these riders, so it became a tactician's game once you got your position to hold it and not lose your place. And how is this gonna, we got a few more racers coming across the line here, and then we'll take you to the standings after 2. And here they are. Martin at the top still, 81 points. John in 2nd, 68 points. Sebastian, 64. So that second, 2, 3, places 2, 3, and 4, and 5 are all super, super close. So this next race for those riders right now placed 2 through 6 is going to be, 2 through 5 is going to be pretty important. Martin's got a pretty good lead, but he still has to have a good race on Fantastic Alien Sea because we do have a ×3 multiplier. So any one of those racers can overtake him if he doesn't finish strong on this race. So a lot of pressure on Martin. He's got a target on his back, and he's got 3 or 4 riders that are going to be trying to knock him off that top step and be fighting to take the podium away.
Yeah, this is certainly going to be a course that is going to, much like the previous race, is going to change everything. Being the technical courses, and we certainly saw that with those crashes and how that put big time distances in compared to the road course. But yeah, we are going to see some pretty big changes. I suspect, I might be wrong, but I suspect we'll see some big changes on that score table.
Yeah, and we've got a couple power ups here. We've got an uncrashable and a weight lifted. So on this one here, again, the power ups last 20 seconds, and after 90 seconds, they'll refill. So they will. It's not a limited number. This is a refill. So using them strategically, knowing where you are on course is going to be very important here. This map, by the way, on it before. This map was designed by Alison Kubota, who is one of the racers on Cade. I've met her in person. She's badass and awesome, but she designed this course, and it is wackadoo, if I do say so myself. And that's an actual term, wackadoo. Thanks for the half giggle. I know. I'm trying to find my sense of humor too, Mark. All right, so when you saw the Velo Viewer, you saw like all of twists and turns and stuff. There are some corners that you can slide out. The road can be pretty slick. There is lots of climb on the front half of this course, and then a lot of downhill on the back end of the course. 3 times around, so by the time they get to that third time up the climb, and after having 2 races behind them, these racers' legs are going to be feeling it.
Yeah, and something that's interesting here, we should probably end the mystery with the power-ups. They do have uncrashable and weightlifted on course right now. There is no usage limit. They're refillable, but it's a 20-second usage time with a 90-second recharge. So they can use them as many times as they can, but they've got to be careful about that 1 minute 30 recharge time that's coming up as well. Something interesting while we're on that topic as well is I think Rene is probably aware that this has got a lot of climbing in it, and he's made the choice to go for a mountain bike for that more climbing power, if you will. So that's going to be interesting to see if that pays off for him. Certainly in this first lap, it's helped.
Yeah, having some different gearing, I think can help. Depending on like the weight of the bike and all those different factors. But it is all of the tools, what you have as a rider, and then what tools you have in the game is all part of the strategy and the tactics. And what kind of a rider are you? Are you a homer where you can ride 100 miles back to back for 7 days, or are you more of a punchy rider like Timothy here, who we're on board with, who can just kind of hammer his legs for a good hour, over threshold, and recover. Just different styles of riding. And right now Timothy is 3 seconds ahead of Rene, and he's doing 420. He's at threshold here, backing off a little bit here through the corners a little bit here. But there's a straightaway on the top where if there ever is a place to drop the power up and try to overcome, I would always try to do it on this straightaway, knowing that I'm going to have to kind of dial it back down for the descent in different places here. Here we are on board with Frank. They've got some power-ups there at play, weight lifted there. You can see the sparkly coming down around the corner, takes the inside line. You can see him slow down a little bit. If you look at the relative speeds here, you can see Timothy up front there at 49, Sebastian 48. So kind of slowing down for that corner, making sure that you don't slide out because you don't want to lose the position. And as I said, when we were looking at the leaderboard there, those, Seb and they all can get some massive points here with that 3 times multiplier. So it's just 5.9 kilometers to go. So 5.9 kilometers of focus and 2 more laps on Fantastic Alien Sea.
Yeah, it's. I'm just sitting here and I'm feeling my quads tense up as they're going downhill into these chicanes, as though I'm actually riding it myself, like, either freewheeling or a slight dampening of the brakes, and you get that tension that you build up through a little bit of anxiety, I guess, in your quads. And I'm just feeling that as I'm sitting here watching this, doing the commentary on it.
Yeah, well, it's this thing where you're really, you're trying to, drive a lot of power up the climb, get as much up the road as you can, and then do some recovery on the descent. But one of the things that's it's hard to do sometimes when you're racing is to actually ease off on that power. So when you're talking about freewheeling, it's like you really do have to ease off that power, even though your body is saying go, I'm racing, and you're riding a bike, you're not just pedaling, you're riding. So this is really mimics the outdoors, but we've got this beautiful fantastical landscape, that you can't ride your bike in a place like this, but you can in game. But you do have to dial back your intensity on those descents and be really heads up so that you don't slide out. And I'm not seeing, I did see some of those power-ups being used by Frank, but I haven't really seen many of them here. We're on board with Lisa. Hey, Lisa, good to see your name in the race here this week. She's been in many times. I'm not sure if I missed her on the first race or she just popped in here for the last of the play set, but Lisa's one of our regular racers. Great to have you out on course today. Really riding smart here. On board now with Shaq. Shaq knows this course like the back of her hand. She probably could do it with her eyes shut. And in fact, maybe she is. It depends on how her heart rate's pretty controlled, so her eyes are probably wide open. So to get over 180 is when I start to close my eyes, which is dangerous in Cade because I don't want to crash.
Yeah. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of great skills and tactics here. Sorry, yeah, I was just going to say, we're seeing a lot of people who are really tempering the flats and then obviously coasting and freewheeling through the downhills, but we've seen a lot of great tempering of that speed, that power, and people really becoming aware of how to really press through these technical courses.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's really fun about CadeSport. It's like you need to have, you can't just have power alone. You can't just have an engine alone. You need to know the courses. You need to know how to leverage the tools that you have at your disposal, your legs, and play it smart. Coming down these, nothing feels better than to sort of let up off that resistance and like, but you can't just glide down. You have to be heads up, choose your lane, pick your line, make sure that you're giving yourself enough time to slow down before the corners. And that's a skill, is knowing how much to brake, when to start braking, if it's needed at all. Sometimes, when I'd be doing well, I would over brake, and that would allow the riders behind me to catch up a little bit, because every time I over brake, then maybe I'd lose a second, and then I'd lose a second, and so at some point too, a crash can be, if you think about it, a crash can be less expensive if you're always over braking. So finding that like optimal place and how to slow down is really part of the tactics that we see here on these technical courses. And look at this here, Renee coming around on the outside of that, really like a brave move. I hate like coming around Sebastian. Oh, Sebastian said, watch me drop my power up. That must have been his uncrashable, saying, I'm out of here. Renee, nice try. Renee did not use his uncrashable and did go down 2 seconds back from Seb. Well played by Seb. That was really bold of Renee to come around the outside on that corner of Seb. Seb was just like not having it. He just shook him right off.
Yeah, great use of that power-up. Must have, I assume Zeb is on a smart trainer and has his trainer percentage set pretty high in game, because we saw him getting out of the saddle on relatively small inclines on attack the middle. So I believe that for that downhill attack, he must have gone into his highest possible gear, the highest tension gear, and just really pushed through that downhill that we saw him make that attack on.
Yeah, he is in his comfortable spot right here. That's Seb just cooking along. He's got a nice little cadence going on, nice rhythm. If you can find that rhythm, this like Barnyard Velo, all those courses, this course as well, getting a good cadence down, even if you're doing a climb, just kind of keeping that consistency where you're not, punching yourself out is really important. But it doesn't look like Seb will be able to catch Timothy unless something really,
Ooh.
Frank goes down over the edge. Renee holds on to the corner here. I think he was trying to Renee. I bet Renee and Frank are in a chat, in some comms, giving each other some static here, trying to do a gentleman's race. And Renee said, "Come get me, Frank." And Frank overcooked it there, but Renee still, and they are teammates, by the way. So probably some friendly trash talking going on there. But as we expect here, head-to-head here, Timothy and Sebastian. You can see Timothy on the left-hand side of your screen, Sebastian on the right-hand side. 1.3 kilometers to go for Timothy, who's on the front. Not that much further for Seb. Lap 3 of 3. This is where, if he does have anything in his legs, let's see, we've got 30 seconds back. I don't think yet. 1.1 kilometers to go. Even if Timothy had a train wreck and lost 2 or 3 seconds, it would be awfully hard or impossible unless you could hyperspace. What's it called in asteroids way back in the 80s? Hyperspace, where you just sort of turn invisible. Oh, there goes the power up across the top here. That's that long straightaway that if you are in a bunch at the top of Fantastic Alien Sea, where you can get a lot of running room here. Timothy plays it well. You can see him. He's got 48, 49, 50 on his speed, using that weight lifted, getting maximum speed here, but just keeping the pace down enough so that he doesn't slide out of the corner. Masterclass here in cornering on Fantastic Alien Sea. I think he got a little mad at himself on Lake Bend when he crashed in the corner, and he's like, I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to be flawless. Yep, he's nodding. I'm going to be flawless here. And he's going to scoop up all of those points. So that's another thing that Timothy can be, is calm under pressure. He, when you do something well in Cade Sport and you do something bad in Cade Sport, you got to let go of both of them. You can't hang on to them, because as soon as you start thinking about what you just did, you forget what's in front of you. So well done, Timothy. Solid there, solid on the day. Makes up on that one crash he had. He's like, what crash? This was flawless. I was flawless on these other 2 courses. Seb, coming to down the finishing stretch here, giving it a little bit of a pickup here, dropped another power up. You can see that animation underneath his wheel, bringing it down, coming through, strong finish, nice race by Seb. I think he was pretty flawless on this course as well. I think Timothy just got a little bit of a jump on him, and he couldn't make it up. So Seb is going to take second here and get 3 times multiplier. That's definitely going to move him up on the leaderboard. We'll see if Timothy gets enough to unseat was it Martin and John, which are 1 and 2. Oh, Renee. Frank says, there you go, take that, mister. Might have been the same corner where Frank dumped and Renee kept riding, but Frank is like, yep, that's how you do it. Just wait. And there he goes. Takes over Renee right behind him. That was funny, though. Take that, mister. Okay, and then Peter on board here with Peter, as he's coming around for 5th place. So it will be interesting to see, because I'm not good at doing math on the fly, especially when I'm talking. So it'll be interesting to see how this leaderboard shakes up with these finishing positions with a 3 times multiplier.
Yeah, I'm probably pretty safe in saying that Timothy has taken the day now. Has jumped right up from 3rd or 4th before, right up to the top spot. So that's what we might see.
All right, and here's the results for this last race here, Fantastic Alien Sea. Timothy Terman, as we saw him come across the line. Sebastian in second. Frank overtakes Renee after they had a little gentleman's, one gets kicked off the corner, and then the other one got kicked off the corner, having probably a good little chuckle. Peter in 5th there. We've got John in 6th. We've got a few other riders out on course. I know Homer's out there, Lisa's out there, Shaq's out there, probably all making their way, seeing what they can learn. If they weren't one of these top 5 spots, they're going to finish up and just try to get as much, experience on the course as you can. And then there you go. Does look like John came down to 3rd. Look at that, between 3rd and 4th. A half a point between Peter and and John. Very, 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 very tight. Looks like Martin did take this race off. He was at the top spot for 1 and 2, and maybe he had a technical. Maybe he had to get to something outside of the racing. But Timothy does come out on top. Sebastian in second, and John in third. And you did mention at the top of the show, Mark, that John is one of our newer riders, a friend of Homer's. So that's pretty impressive there on a day like today.
Yeah, we've seen him come up the scoreboard throughout the weeks here, a couple of weeks that he's been racing now. And to be in that third spot I'm pretty sure he's going to be pretty happy with that today. Fantastic stuff. We're seeing his power improve with training, I'm sure, in the real world and racing here in Cade Sport.
That's pretty something, John. If you don't, if you're new to the game and new to the sport, you really need to relish this. Being up there, this is a tough crew to be in the top spot with. So bravo to all the racers all the way around. That was a lot of fun, and now we know how the cookies are used. We'll see if those get thrown in here and there a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Fun to see that implemented. And I believe today in Cade Sport, they've implemented a whole ton of different things where people who want to use the raw power mode, which is the direct watts that you're outputting, the direct speed you're outputting is not equalized, can now race with the pro power races and events and vice versa. So a whole new reason to check out Cade Sport, which you can do at cadesport.com. And thank you for joining us.
Thanks. Take care.
Gentlemen, perhaps we wouldn't be where we are today